PS5 price to rise in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. Apparently, they're reporting this on the PlayStation blog, and I think we need to take a look at this because we've seen some price increases, and I think this one is coming at a very interesting time. The Nintendo Switch announced its pricing. News reports went out saying that PlayStation was taking a survey asking its own people if they were, if they were cool with the pricing or whatever it is. I mean, here it is. This blog says, Sony sends survey asking PlayStation gamers about the Switch 2. Now, what are we to make of this overall? I mean, if you think about it, I don't know if PlayStation players gave the green light to PlayStation to say, hey, charge us more. We'll definitely take more and remasters. So this says, with a backdrop of challenging economic environment, interesting. PlayStation facing a challenging economic environment, including high inflation and fluctuating exchange rates. SIE has made the tough decision to raise the recommended retail price of the PlayStation 5 console in select markets in Europe, Middle East and Africa, EMEA, Australia, and New Zealand. Here are the updated prices that they have. Additionally, the disk drive will be getting an RRP decrease effective April 14th as follows. So they're going to reduce the disk drives. They're going to go ahead and up the regular version, the digital version of these with the HD player and all that stuff because, changing the prices. And then the standard PlayStation 5 with the HD drive, they're also going to tweak the price. Let me go ahead and express to you my gripe with all of this. Are you ready? These conditions that PlayStation is claiming is hitting them is also hitting the consumer. Are y'all listening to me? When I talk about gaming from a value perspective, right? Let me just level with y'all. I know some people will say, maybe people who can afford it should not, play video games and all that. I get your position. I'm not telling them to not spend their money or spend their money in a certain place. All I'm doing is just providing information with a reality in the economic factors that actually exist in the market. I've been saying economic factors for literally a year now. And PlayStation is opening their own blog mouth to say economic environment. Then what are the economic environmental factors? High inflation, fluctuating exchange rates, and so on and so forth. And behold, they're going to go ahead and pass those costs of their own claimed economic challenges to you, the gamer. Are you listening to me? And you know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, is as they continue to tweak and adjust these prices, right, to keep themselves in a profitable place, because to be very honest, they don't really have much room. They don't have much wiggle room in their margin, right? We're going to end up where they're going to try to sell you the next console for a very serious amount of money. They already did sell you a $700 SKU. Some people have claimed that this $700 SKU is only for the enthusiasts and all of the above, but has anybody considered that the $700 SKU and the specs of today, right? They're going to basically say, oh, the specs of tomorrow are actually better than the specs of today, so the price is actually worth the increase. Hence, next console, $700, it's actually advanced than the Pro, and we're just doing you a favor selling it to you for $700. Did anybody ever consider that possibility? And so now here we are. A lot of people are talking about consoles and saying, oh, you see, some people are saying consoles are dead and blah, blah, blah. No one is saying consoles are dead. However, console pricing is starting to become really weird. Audience member, shout out to Michael Pierre. Michael Pierre was roasting me in the comment section the other day. I think he was being facetious. Don't mind him. Don't mind Michael. Michael's always getting on he's trying to get on my nerves, right? And he said 3 years ago, before the PS5 Pro, Xbox had the cheapest console and most powerful console. And on top of that, they have Game Pass. And you said, but where did that get Xbox? The answer is third party. But Nintendo is really going to PS3 generation with the high prices. Michael, you got to realize that even PlayStation with a more expensive SKU and all of the above has still gone third party. In terms of software and hardware sales, because of the way they do their business, right? And because of the popularity factor that PlayStation is enjoying, Xbox by all means already knows that this console generation was going to get smoked. And they've been doing third party for a long time. They've been doing third party like 8 years ago. This is not even a conversation. What I'm saying is, You as the gamer, you need to be able to dial in and figure out where can I get the very best in terms of ownership of what it is that I actually play my games on, ownership of how I control what my gaming looks like, and so on and so forth. I've said it before. Your machine, if you built yourself a PC, I'm not saying go build a PC. I'm just saying that if you build yourself a PC, you can transcend a lot of these so-called economic factors that are being played out here. And PC prices, they fluctuate and expand and contract enough and are not hinged on everything being on one box that you don't really have to wait for these guys to come out here and start telling you what it is that they want to do. After seeing their peers and other competitors go ahead and say, oh, this is how we want to roll. A lot of people don't really realize that if you let one company get away with something, another company is not going to sit down there and say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and just enjoy it. Especially those who play their Nintendo consoles as secondary consoles. But these economic factors, though, are very interesting because they've become somewhat convenient now, and everybody wants to go ahead and take a look at them. Economic factors, people think Nintendo, and they used to think that PlayStation was immune to that. Remember when I was telling you all that? You see, PlayStation is not inherently immune to these factors. And I told you that Nintendo was also just as vulnerable because the market could not be bothered. The economic, conditions are their own little thing. And so now, when we're looking at this whole conversation, people's reactions are very interesting, right? I'm not going to read this username because they are a Nintendo fanboy, so get the heck out of here. That's one thing about them. This person said, yes, make it more. Snapblast Play says, PS5 is Sony's worst console generation of all time, changed my mind. I don't know, man. I haven't played, I played the PS4 and I played this generation. I can tell you, though, that the PS4 one was actually pretty solid. This person said, well, incoming Switch 2 price increase too if the tariff stuff keeps up. They've separated electronic devices and computer parts and cell phones from the tariffs, I think. I don't know how it's going to affect it. We're going to go ahead and see. This person says switch to PC. I think this person is correct. This Fiona Ryder person says 6-year-old console with no games now more expensive than a Switch 2. This is a joke. Nintendo $100 Pokemon games incoming. This person said nothing that's going to affect those prices. Nothing that's going on affects those prices. They're capitalizing on the situation to maximize profits. This person thinks that these tactics are scummy from Sony. This person said, looks like this console generation is going to last 10 years. Interesting conversations. The hypotheses, yes, they're one-off comments, but you also got to realize that there are people who actually strongly believe that somewhere, somehow, this console generation is going to be played out very heavily to benefit everybody that's engaged within it. I think Xbox is going to take the exact same route. You see that Series S, right? I bet you Xbox is giddy as heck because they're looking and saying, oh, wait, everyone is going to go launch their games on the Nintendo Switch 2. We got a Series S over here that slaps that thing. We're just going to call every Xbox console now, from now henceforth, the Xbox console generation. They're not going to go ahead and say, oh, the next gen. No. They're going to be like, every game is coming over to the Series S. I told you they were going to do this. I told you that Series S was not going anywhere. That Xbox was going to gather all 20-something million of them, right? And all, 15 or 10 million of the Series X. And whatever handheld they make and whatever following console they make, and they're going to bundle it together, it's going to be, in my opinion, their first, 70 to 80 to maybe 100 million, hardware generation. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to separate or create any chasms because in their minds, it's all an Xbox. So when we're looking at the way PlayStation is doing it, I think PlayStation might take a similar approach and extend the console generation before the PS6 shows up. Well, a partially similar approach. I didn't say like a similar approach because, we've heard reports that they're making a PS6 generation. So this is actually good news, I guess, for the extension of the console generation, but it's not good news for the prices of gaming, right? And the economic factors. These companies are claiming that they affect them. So you, right? They don't affect you. You're somehow immune from them. So they're going to raise their prices and they want you to go ahead and pay for them. What a wonderful time we live in. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Talk to me in the comment section. Peace out.